1st, 2015, the Milford Planning Board is now in session. Minutes of the previous meeting.
Motion.
Motion made by Pat, second by John. All in favor?
I can't.
John
Oh,
wasn't here.
John wasn't here. Joe? All in favor? Unanimous of 3. No 81Ps. Street discontinuance, orange slip extension.
I included in your packet the letter from council representing the applicant on this. Milford Regional owns the land around the end of the orange slip extension. And as it turns out, we had gone through the whole process of accepting the public way, but the fee was never transferred, so they own that too. So now this is a formality to discontinue the street. Had we not accepted it in the first place, they would need to do this, but since town meeting voted to accept the road, we need to vote to discontinue it. So the packet contains a reduced version of the plan, just to reorient you to where it is. So my recommendation is you send a favorable report to town meeting.
Okay.
Larry, did they indicate anything as to what they plan in the future?
I think that
Other than what he said in here, which doesn't say a whole hell of a lot.
no, I think it's primarily expansion of adjacent parking, at least for the time being, and then an overall plan may evolve later on.
I mean, obviously, I don't think we have much choice considering the situation that we're in, but unfortunately, we have a dead end that has no turnaround, that ends up with a dead end that has no turnaround.
Well, we're back to where we started from.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So-
where do you put, where's the town put the snow? Just at the end?
Yeah, they must.
Just pile it up.
Yeah, I don't know where they
Is there
put
any
it
type
before.
of snow easement there or anything for the town? I'm curious.
No. This will just return it to the situation that has existed previously, so I'm not aware of what they did, if they plowed it that way, or if they,
Well, it's a town road, so I'm assuming they did.
no, I mean, if they plowed it, pushed it to that direction or not.
If they're gonna use it for extra parking, they're gonna have to mow it.
I don't have a problem with it. I'm just concerned that I think you may require some sort of utility easement, because I don't know where you're putting the snow.
But I think there may be enough of an expansion in a few years that they'll acquire the rest of Warren Slip as well, so that may go the way of.
I understand that, but I'm just looking at it as it's in today's.
If they're gonna use it for extra parking, they're gonna have to plow it.
Right.
Well, I don't know if they're gonna connect it.
It's not, it may not be connected to Warren Slip at all.
I don't think it's connected.
Yeah, but I don't
It may
don't
be.
know that we have the option to be able to do that. It is, all they wanna do is go back to the way it is. They never built the subdivisions. The
Right.
houses aren't there,
Nothing's
so
there.
I don't know how we can.
You can't,
Yeah, I don't
you
know how
have-
you cannot,
you cannot just
Approve it.
say no. So,
I wasn't saying no, I'm concerned that we should have some sort of utility easement. That's what my concern is, because essentially, you're taking snow and you're plowing it up under their property now.
well, but there hasn't been an easement there previously anyway, so we're not gonna be any different
going
than we
back to
were
square
before they
one.
came in with the original
Right.
extension. That's the only,
Yeah.
so they've been before the selectmen to ask them to,
right, it's on the warrant.
it's on the warrant,
Yep.
so it's already there, so we need to make a move on it. So do I hear a motion?
I don't know that we have much of a choice. It's a favorable
No.
recommendation to town meeting to
Exactly,
discontinue
I'll do the same
Orange
thing.
Slip.
Motion made by Joe,
I'll second.
seconded by John, to continue with the recommendation.
Favorable recommendation.
Favorable recommendation to the town meeting. All in favor? Unanimous of 4. Okay. Amended site plan to 20 Beaver Street Sales Garage. Okay. The applicant requests a site plan amendment to allow for the change of use on the subject premises. The proposal is to add a used car dealership to the existing auto repair muffler shop on the subject property. The proposed used car use will occupy the northerly bay of the current muffler shop. The ZBA granted granted the required special permit for 1 year with conditions at their February 12, 2015 meeting, see attached sheet. The plan submitted with this application depicts a reconfiguration of the off-street parking location, including the addition of 2 handicap accessible spaces. The number of parking spaces proposal will meet the current requirements and allow for a maximum of 6 display spaces for cars for sale. Therefore, I recommend the change of use to be approved and the full requirements of the site plan review be waived as requested, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, parking lot striping shall be reconfigured as shown on the plan by the GLM Engineering dated 12/29/14. See attached. The vehicle for sale shall be displayed as depicted on said plan in the location labeled D1 through D6 only. The maximum number of unregistered vehicles shall be 6 vehicles on the property at any one time. Respectfully, Larry Duncan, our town planner. Our engineer has reviewed the site plan on Beaver Street. His application for the special permit, automobile sales and repairs. Although no site work is being constructed, this use category defined having a heavier polluted potential under the Massachusetts stormwater standards. This site is outside the buffer zone, but is located so that it's significantly ungraded and,
Upgradient,
what?
upgradient.
Upgraded, yeah,
Gradient.
by nearby wetlands. I will like to see a review and analysis on the on-site stormwater system to demonstrate compliance with the MSS, or a plan to bring the site into compliance with the MSS prior to approval of this application. Vonnie Reese, Town Engineer.
I had a chance to discuss it with Vonnie. She wasn't aware that this is like the 3rd or 4th change of use in terms of
Right.
operator, but the actual use of the property has been vehicle-related repair of some sort, whether it was the muffler shop as it was originally, which had that bay, or the other 2 or 3 prior auto sales places that wanted to go in there. So, this is probably, I don't know that she followed up, but this isn't nearly as much of an issue for her now that she understands the background, so.
Yeah, so I wish she was here so we could, she could tell us. But anyway, that's what she has to say. And Christopher Foley is satisfied, he finds the site plan okay and satisfied with it. The fire department also requests no changes. The John Erickson, the building inspector, I have no comment with the proposal amendment on Beaver Street. Commissioner on Disabilities has no comment. All right.
His mailing address is still down on South Main Street. Where's the mailing?
This is the one that already come in front of us for the.
That's right. I just thought of that.
Yeah, the ZBA
The
referral
ZBA.
to the
decision's
Yeah.
on there, and they only granted an
They
approval for
granted
1
it,
year.
the decision to the ZBA is in the back pages.
I'll make a motion subject to Larry's three
Conditions.
conditions
Yeah,
and pursuant to Vonnie getting an updated letter showing that she has no concerns.
okay, motion is made by
Do you want to
Pat.
add the special permit for 1-year period as the zoning?
Well, I think the
board?
zoning board has already done
They
that,
already
so
did
I don't
that.
think we have to.
Yeah.
Overrides it
I
anyway.
think that supersedes us.
Yes.
It's favorable, yes. Sorry.
Motion made by Pat, second by
I don't
John,
care.
okay.
You can do Joe.
All in favor? Unanimous of 4. Okay, here we go.
Pass these down.
Site plan review for 400 East Main Street, FRE Building Corporation Incorporated. The applicant requests a site plan approval to construct a concrete plant on a 2.08 acre subject property. The manufacture of the processing of concrete cement is permitted in the IB Highway Industrial Zoning District in which the site is located. Only asphalt concrete plants are prohibited in the zoning bylaw. The 3 or 4 proposed buildings associated with the concrete plant will total 2,888 square feet in floor area and 4 lagoons are being proposed as indicated on the site plan. A one-way loop driveway is being proposed around the plant buildings, connecting to a 2-way main access drive. The 14 required off-street parking spaces are located along the main drive, access drive.
Forget it.
I'm having a tough time today. I have reviewed the site plan and find that all applicable zoning requirements appear to be met, except that no landscaping plan was included with the application. Therefore, I recommend to approve this site plan, subject to the relevant agency comments and submissions of the required lot plan, landscape lot plan. And, wow. Now, our town engineer has a lot in here.
Maybe talk, she might have already addressed that.
Yeah, has she addressed, is there something in
The
the,
response right after it.
okay,
Comments.
because there's a lot of comments there.
We can go through them.
Huh?
It's easy enough to go through them if you
Yeah, I
want to.
think that's a really good idea to go through them, yeah. Let's see, yeah, okay. I see the response letter here.
And there's also a little, right after it, there's a traffic,
What,
preliminary traffic assessment right after it as well.
okay. Scott Christopherly, I have reviewed the above-mentioned site plan and find it to be satisfactory. However, I would like to remind the applicant of Route 16 East Main Street is the junction of the Mass Dot. Any road opening permits must be obtained by them. All right. And Mr. Tui, Fire Department. Fire Department access road shall have a unobstructed width of not less than 20 feet. Have you gone through this?
There's a follow-up email from him. 'cause
Okay.
I spoke to him and went over his concerns.
Okay, I see it, yep. Thank you for your, revision. And John Erickson, it appears the proposed concrete plan is allowable use, I have no concerns. The Water Department, have you heard from the Water Department? They have a list here.
Yes, and I've added all their concerns.
Have you?
As notes within the, on the plan. So basically, they're talking, they're basically saying this is what you have to do and
Right.
what materials you have to use and everything else, and I've added it.
You add that on the plan?
Yes.
Okay. And
Let him do his thing.
disabilities, they're fine with that. All right, Bob.
If anybody would like a full-size copy, I have extras too, if you don't
No,
want.
we're
to
good.
get the small thing. Anyways, this is the subject property. It's located at 400 East Main Street. The gas, Algonquin gas transmission, the substation is right here in this location, to give you an idea where it is. And the highway is somewhere right around in here. So the applicant is proposing to construct a concrete batching plant. The area is, it slopes from the street up to the top, up to the west. It's probably the difference between the roadway and the street is 280, it's like 40, it's about 42 feet, 44 feet, difference in elevations. The proposal is to either with a manufactured wall or vertical ledge face, lower the interior of the site to get it so that the grades, so we can make grades work and get up into the area. So the applicant is proposing to pave the main access drive. It'll be 28 feet wide in the main area here where trucks would enter and exit, parking spaces along it. And then it would branch off into a one-way loop system that's 12-foot wide, a 12-foot wide driveway where the trucks would come in, they would travel up in this direction, they would go into the plant, they would load up, and then they would leave. Or they would bypass this to go around if it was like a delivery truck or a truck that was just being washed out, to go and park itself somewhere down in this area here when it's not being, when the plant is closed. The site has to have a septic system. There is no sewer up in this area. We did soil testing, witnessed by the Board of Health, and we finally, we sized the system. This should be adequate. And based on what we found for groundwater, the grading is what the system grading would be. The area that you see in the brown is meant to be gravel, hard-packed gravel. These are bins, these are storage bins for material that will be used in the process. These buildings are roughly the configuration of several small metal buildings that the process will use.
Bless you, Joe.
And these areas here are the proposed lagoons that are gonna be used for the washing out of the existing trucks, and cleaning them of the excess concrete. And these areas are lined in the area, looking at some of the information that I have, the majority of this this material in here is recycled, the water is recycled, some of the cement dust is recycled as much as possible. We got existing water main in East Main Street. We're gonna bring that into the site and bring it up into the buildings. There's gas, which will also be brought up to service the building, and utility will come off the existing pole up to the buildings. We provide stormwater attenuation in the form of catch basins to a drain manhole system, which will discharge into a detention basin. Currently, the runoff from the site pretty much is in two directions. It either flows in this direction here and eventually runs along the curb line of 16 to a location where there is existing triple grate catch basin, which is connected to a 2x2 box culvert, which flows underneath Route 16, which is then connected to a 30-inch outlet pipe at a head wall. There's a pretty large wetland over in here, you know, where the gas company is across the street and the power line. But some portion, a majority of the site discharges in that direction, gets here. The remainder of the site from this hill comes down in this direction here, and there's a wetland pond that you can see from the road, especially now with the water level so high, right in this area here. That particular pond has an outlet structure, a 12-inch outlet pipe, which drains, allows it to drain out, and it connects to this same location here. So what we're proposing to do, the drainage is all gonna go in the same direction, except that we're gonna collect it within the site and pretty much not allow it to dump onto the 16 shoulder and have to run down to get here. We're gonna catch basins, manholes, detention basin, discharge to another manhole, and then discharge, and then connect to the existing drainage out in Route 16. We mitigated pre- and post-development for the 2, 10, and 100-year storm events. And we did add landscaping that, as per Larry's request, so you can see the landscaping is shown in here. This area here would all be green space with the detention basin and cover with the detention basin, gravel, storage bins, stone, a wall around the thing. So as far, and as I say, we did do a preliminary assessment. It's based on the truck traffic generated by a concrete batching plan, and it talks about how long it takes for a truck to be loaded, and how long it takes for the batching to occur. And it's, you know, it's like the maximum on a maximum day is it's like 450 vehicle trips.
Wow.
But I'm sorry, not vehicle trips, cubic yards. The plant can produce 450 cubic yards of material on a maximum day, but the average production is 350 cubic yards. And based on it, the concrete trucks carry about 20 cubic yards. It limits to how many trips you can actually have in the course of a day. Some coming, some going. The batching is supposed to occur between 7 o'clock and 3 o'clock, and the actual plant is gonna be open from like 6
6
in
to
the
7.
morning till like 7 at night. So that allows the trucks, I mean, you know, a truck can fill up here with concrete at 3 o'clock and go off to a job site. He may not come back till 5:30, something like that. So it gives them a chance to come back in, wash everything down, but all activity should cease by 7 o'clock.
The upper loop drive isn't paved, that's compacted gravel.
No, this drive is paved. All the main access for the truck traffic will be paved.
Oh, okay.
There'll just be the areas around it, so if a truck does pull off or whatever,
Yep.
those areas will remain as gravel.
Okay.
One of the other comments that Lonnie had was, we had proposed bay saver units to help attenuate. We kind of constricted with, you know, site distance here, with site constraints, so rather than provide a 4-bay, we provided a mechanical means of attenuating the TSS removal. So we had proposed bay saver units, and in these two locations, we used a 51% TSS removal rate, and that's the optimum that Bay Saver says, but some of the tests say that they may not do more than 33%. So with the 33%, we really couldn't, if we were holding a 33% number, we couldn't meet the 80% requirement. So we changed the Bay Saver units to be a downstream defender. We've adjusted the stormwater report as such, and the downstream defender is a 70% TSS removal rate. So that addresses one of her questions. And everything else we've done with notes on the plan. We've added a snow storage area in here because generally, if it's winter time and you're dealing with snow, you're not selling concrete anyways. So you're not, you know, these areas are not being used. So there's plenty of room for snow storage to keep it collected within the bermed area. There's gonna be curbing where the wall ends, there'll be curbing all along in here so to collect all this runoff that comes down into these basins and stuff. So we'll be able to maintain an area and control the snow from melting and going out onto the roadways in the wintertime, because like I say, there's not a lot of activity in a concrete plant during the wintertime. That's pretty much it.
Well, you know, I noticed Bonnie has the Zane Circle, the houses that are on there, you know, the condos that, so they're pretty close.
Yeah,
I mean, did you address that with her?
Well,
or-
like I say, we haven't done a full-blown traffic
You have not
study.
done a traffic
We did a
study,
preliminary
okay.
traffic study, if, you know.
Because
based
that's a
on- like I say,
busy,
But based on the number of trucks that would actually be, you know, we're talking maybe 20 trucks a day.
yeah, because that's a busy
I
area,
think what you need to,
you know?
I think what you need to look at, the one thing that you didn't answer in Bonnie's was the fact that those trucks are going out and looking at the speed study in terms of, the total is not insurmountable, however, the length of time it takes for those trucks to get up to any type of speed up there and what that impact is and how long that distance is gonna be, I think would be certainly if she's not looking for it, it's probably information that I would be looking at, because with the gradient that's out there, it may take quite a while, in which case the traffic impacts are much greater than the fact that you've only got that many vehicles at any one particular hour.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I realized that if the board requested a traffic study, that that's something that we would do. You know, if you're requiring a traffic study, then we would continue and get a traffic study for you.
Pat, do you have, I mean,
I just think this is a horrible idea for this location, and I don't care what you do, I'm not for it. I think between the dust, the orientation of the residents, the decrease in speed, again, we all know that 16, regardless of what the speed limit reads or should be, we all know that the pedestrian traffic, if I recall correctly, is exceeding it by 10 or 15 miles an hour. I think adding slow-moving vehicles in that specific location, you're asking for trouble. I just don't think that this is a conducive site for this type of application. I'm not for it.
Well, I don't think that the closest resident is any closer than over 1,000 feet away.
No,
because you've got the-
but you're still gonna have,
You got the
you're
stone
still gonna have.
quarry, you got the mining operation that's right here, that's right up against the residential home.
look.
What is the
money
noise
didn't
level?
come- The money didn't come in front of me, this is coming in front of me, so I'm just giving you my 2 cents.
Yeah. The
And
noise,
again, the other concern that I have is the dust. And
Right.
again, these are just my concerns.
Yeah, no, and as I say, and I've seen some documentation from other plants, and they talk about how they have dust controls, everything, and hopefully, you know, if you're gonna continue, we can provide you that information before.
I'm only giving you my opinion.
Regarding, no, I understand, I mean, regarding dust and noise, those are things that we can.
plus the
we can
noise
generate.
level, yeah.
Yeah, from the from the people who are gonna operate the
Yeah.
plant, we will get that information from them. As far as the dust level and noise level and how they control those things.
Right, it's very, that's a very important, that's just as important is the noise level as the traffic,
Sure.
the traffic and so forth.
Foolish question, if trucks come back with cement still on them, where they dump them?
They wash it out and, and get it liquefied in these lagoons, and eventually they remove it,
That's our outside process.
It's an outside process,
Yeah.
yes.
Come back with any. Most of them don't come back with any.
Most of them
No.
dump it on the job site, pretty much,
That's where the
or in their
squares come from.
driveway.
Yeah,
I had a neighbor who built a whole house and
big
a big
squares.
driveway with everything he had left over.
There you go.
yeah. What's the pleasure of the board? Joe?
I have a couple other questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, one of the other things that has to be obviously given, I guess it just hasn't come up, is the wall design needs to be addressed.
Yeah, obviously.
Well, it needs to be engineered.
They don't think it's, I think they're assuming that it's gonna end up being ledge face all the way, but I mean,
We're not assuming,
yeah.
especially with this particular applicant. We are certainly not assuming.
Again, I wasn't even
Needs to be a
going there.
design,
I wasn't going there because I'm.
or a
voting
letter
no.
from us, from an engineer stamped that was to what that wall is going to be.
Okay.
The water company didn't address, I mean, they've got all this standard.
Right.
What I'd like to see from the water company is a letter that says they can supply the water at this location for this particular use. I have no idea what the anticipated use for this site is, but it's not necessarily low. It's a concrete plant, they're gonna be using that with
lot of
water plus
water.
washing out the plant. So I would like the water company to address that they can in fact supply the water at this site. And then I guess, I'm torn as to the detail, and this goes back to the dust and stuff. The curbing detail as to whether that's going to, with that curbing detail is gonna cause the trucks and stuff as they move around the site to actually bring material onto the paved area. And whether that curbing, if you look at the detail, I guess we can assume that where it says loam and subsoil, that's actually gonna be compacted gravel.
Compacted gravel, yes, okay.
And considering that's almost at the same, it is shown at the same height as a Cape Cod berm. I'd like Bonnie to take another look at that, Larry, and see if she's comfortable with that.
Bring the sand.
Because I'm concerned that in fact, we could be tracking a lot of water a lot of dirt onto the paved area and then having it washed in.
Yeah.
Various products, like the stone.
And then the other thing I guess that I'm somewhat concerned in is the hours of operation.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with 7 o'clock, and I have no idea where he plans on selling this concrete, but I've worked at a ton of jobs that we've required concrete at 12 o'clock at night.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Depending on the pour and depending
Yeah.
on what you're working on, they're constant pours.
Any
You
night
know, they
work,
could be storing anywhere, and
night work.
I don't think this is the
any mass
location.
DOT night work.
Yeah, I know. We've done it a lot of places, but I don't know that I'm comfortable with, with it being past 7 o'clock. Again, the hours that they point out, I didn't have too much issue with, but I'd like to limit the hours to
I
what
have
they
an issue
point
with the
out.
whole thing.
Well, I don't really like it either, but unfortunately, it is zoned that way, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
the applicant has the
But
right to
this is-
certainly
but
propose
it's a
it,
review. It's a review. It doesn't mean that it's nothing more than a review.
Yeah,
that's correct. It is.
but those are my issues, I think we
No,
definitely
You're
need
all
to.
set, John?
Going with Joseph.
Yeah. You,
Any others?
you don't have any other thing, do you want to continue this?
It has to be
Yeah.
continued.
Has to
I
be
mean, until we get, there's no way I'm voting on it
There's
until we
more
get the wall
information,
designed to
yeah.
begin with. And
Yeah, right,
So, can we do it there?
yeah.
Very good.
Sure.
If you're gonna.
We're gonna continue
consider-
this.
continue it,
We'll
I
have a
would
motion on
suggest
that, yeah.
May 5th,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
May 5th.
May 5.
Okay. Someone make a motion to continue this, or we,
Motion made to continue this, the public hearing till May 5th.
May 5th?
Second.
Second by John, all in favor? Unanimous.
No, I'm not in favor.
3 in favor, one opposed.
Yeah, it's not a public hearing, it's just.
Well, Amended site plan, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
Bob, you want these back?
I'm gonna keep mine and bring it back at the next meeting.
ZBA variance.
Yep, okay, moving right along, ZBA variance 120 to 128 Medway Street, Barlow signs. I think these people were before us at one time.
Yeah, I think for 90 feet, Lena. I think it was for 90
Once
the
it's
last
getting.
one.
It was
yeah, it's
90
getting
last
short.
time, yeah.
So we dropped by 30, but still
If-
30 too
Yeah,
much.
he wants, yeah.
Still too high.
So he requests a variance of the construction of 350 square feet, 60 feet high aluminum freestanding sign on Beaver Street frontage of the property. The maximum height allowed for such signs in commercial and industrial zones at 30 feet.
In
The
100
max-
square,
Huh?
in 100 square feet.
Yeah, you're right, in 100 square feet. No overall signage plan has been submitted to determine the calculations required by section 3.9.2 sign size restrictions by the zoning bylaw. It is therefore unclear what the number, type, and size of sign currently exist on the property, including the existing freestanding sign near the Medway Street entrance of the plaza. The proposed sign will exceed the maximum allowable height for signs by 30 feet. The maximum allowable height for buildings in the IB zone is 60 feet. Therefore, I recommend a favorable report to follow to the ZBA only if the adequate information is provided to properly evaluate this application.
I'll make a motion for unfavorable.
I
I agree.
I'm sorry.
I'd like to change that to a certain extent of unfavorable in indicating that we see no hardship whatsoever.
Zero.
To grant a
On
waiver
both.
of this type, and that the town has continuously tried to, because of comments from town residents, has continuously tried to strengthen the town sign bylaw, and granting a waiver of this magnitude would set back the impetus that we have of trying to, in fact, rein in the town sign bylaw.
I agree, Joe.
If you
Yeah,
build a
so-
30-foot sign on top of the building, is it a sign or is it part of the building? Would it then
Height,
be-
it wouldn't meet the height requirement.
No, it'd be 60 feet.
No, but it wouldn't
No,
meet the
if
height,
it's on-
but that's part of the building, that goes over the height requirement for a building, even if you consider it part of the building.
But if the building's 60 feet and you did a 30-foot sign on top of a 30-foot building.
That would make it
That'd be-
It's
90.
measured from the ground.
It's
No.
measured
Specifically says in the
Yes.
sign section.
from the
I think
ground up.
Bob's right.
The height of the sign is measured from the ground.
Right, so from the top of the sign to the ground level,
Yeah.
if the building was 30 feet,
Yes.
exactly, and then the sign was another 30 feet, Bob's right, it'd be 60
It'd be
feet.
60 feet, it'd be part of the building, wouldn't be a sign. It'd
No.
be part- Well, you could, I'm sure architects.
You could say
you
that.
Find a way to.
Well, you could architecturally make that, it'd be like a dome.
Something, yeah.
If you had a wall on the building that's tall enough, like the hospital entrance, or the hospital facade on 140, then you do a wall-mounted sign. It's not a freestanding sign.
Right.
Yeah.
But what you suggested to begin with sounded an awful lot like sticking a freestanding sign on top of a building, and you can't do
I thought it
that.
was part of the architecture, is the way I understood it from Bob.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, what's the
He's just
maximum
trying
height,
to
what's the
make
maximum
trouble.
height
60.
down there anyways?
60,
Is it 60? 60?
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's not happening.
We still said no.
Well, I shouldn't say that, this does have to go
So
to the
did you-
zoning
did he
board,
second
but.
it?
Joe, did you
make
second
that
that?
motion? You made the motion?
Well, I guess I amended your motion to include all
Joe,
that.
Joe, make the motion and then I'll second yours then, since you amended it.
I'd like to make a motion that we set an unfavorable based on the statements that I had previously made about the existing town sign bylaw, and granting this would significantly minimize the impacts of that, of the existing bylaw, never mind strengthen it, which is what this board has been trying to do.
And there's no hardship.
And
there's
there's no hardship,
No hardship.
right.
And it's contrary to the residents,
I don't
the
agree.
feelings and beliefs of the residents.
Okay,
Second.
motion
We've already
made by,
taken 5 minutes more
by,
than we should.
by Joe, seconded by Pat, all in favor?
Yes.
Unanimous of 4. Okay. Moving right along, ZBA special permit 3-11 Beach Street, Ronaldo Campus,
Campos.
Campos.
Oh, boy.
Hello.
Linda,
Boy,
Lena,
I'm
you
having
got
a-
one foot on, you got
I
one foot
got
on
one
the plane.
I know it.
Go ahead, Lena.
I hope not too many people are watching me tonight.
I hope they don't rerun this.
I know it, oh, they
Oh, they
will,
will.
they will, I don't really.
Perpetually.
The applicant requests a ZBA special permit to allow the expansion of the existing auto sales aspect to the auto detailing and sale operation on 3 Beach Street onto the northerly 7,100 square feet of the adjoining property on the south at 11 Beach Street. The proposed expansion is to accommodate the increased vehicle sales displayed area. While the proposal is generally acceptable as a special permit use in the IA district, the site plans submitted with the special permit application does not reflect the layout discussed with the town staff and does not provide for adequate off-street parking, also as previously discussed with the staff. Therefore, I recommend a favorable report to forward to the zoning board of appeals, subject to the following conditions. 1, that the minimum of 9 off-street parking spaces be provided. 2, the maximum number of unregistered vehicles on the combined properties shall not exceed 35 vehicles at any one time, including vehicles displayed for sale. 3, subsequent that the grant of the ZBA special permit and appropriate site plan is submitted to the planning board for approval. Respectfully, Larry Duncan, our town planner.
Again, on this site, Larry, unfortunately, I don't think that they conform as it is. So to continually add additional burden, I just don't think I don't think it's in our best interest. With that, I'm gonna make a motion for unfavorable.
Is the parcel, I guess I'm somewhat confused. Is this all part of the same parcel, Larry?
No.
No, it's leased space. Remember there used to be a brick building, some
Right.
sort of old cable, and then
Yeah, well-
Vendetti stored his buses there.
there, yeah.
They
Yeah.
tore down the building, and now it's
Oh, so
kinda
this
like a
is- well, this is-
gravel lot,
this is all part
I
of
think.
Beam too?
There's nothing in there.
I think it's a gravel lot.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't, if the parcel becomes that big, I don't see this meeting any of the town's requirements in terms of open space, green space. I mean,
Nothing.
to me, this is a
Nothing.
major redo of this whole thing.
It is.
And if he wants to do that use and go to the ZBA, that's fine, but I expect a site plan that comes back that
Mm-hmm.
somehow has some resemblance of town parameters, and this certainly doesn't.
Well, yeah, the existing site's
I
not
still said no.
conforming.
Motion's
He
on.
wants
I know
to
it is.
display
Second.
cars on an area
I'm
that's
waiting for
already
some
gravel.
of your stuff.
So to the extent that the surface of these areas isn't changing, the change that he's proposing, or the expansion he's proposing, is what's triggering the special permit and all this in the first place, so.
Then as far as I'm concerned, I would suggest we send it unfavorable in that if he's not, the fact that this is gravel right now doesn't mean that he should be able to use it for a use, to me, that should be then considered a use where we can then do whatever the hell we want and not meet any of the town's requirements. If we're gonna allow this type of use on this thing, then he should have to meet the town's requirements
There's
on
some
it.
landscaping and
Yeah,
drainage.
because, that this just becomes a,
A bigger mess than it
yeah,
already is.
so to me, I say we send, and based on the fact that I'm not sure what the ZBA would come back with, my recommendation is that we
I
send it
already made the-
unfavorable.
I already
Oh,
did the
sorry.
unfavorable.
I'll second your unfavorable.
Okay, motion made by Pat to send an unfavorable recommendation to the ZBA, seconded by Joe. Do we want to follow that up with a little letter to the ZBA, or just,
I think it makes sense.
Oh, they know,
But-
they know it makes sense.
No. I think it makes sense to send a follow-up letter.
Oh,
Lena,
okay.
Is what I was referring to. However, I don't know if they're gonna understand how we're looking at it in correlation to how they're going to be asked to perhaps vote on it.
Based on the conversation, Larry, could you craft a letter?
I was just gonna, yeah.
Yep.
Could you do that, Larry? Give us a call, give me a call, and I'll
Kevin, was
sign
that
it.
polite enough the way I phrased that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Perfect.
now,
Roll
what
call
time,
it. Roll call it. You have to roll call it, kid.
all in favor?
Yes.
Unanimous of 4. And,
I'll make a motion to
excuse me a
endorse.
minute.
Oh,
Larry, could you get that written up by tomorrow so I can
Just
sign
sign Lena's
it?
name, because she's not gonna be
'Cause,
around.
I'll sign it.
could you sign it?
Yeah, see? Listen, you can still.
All right.
JetBlue's
The
still
last-
calling you.
I know it. Okay, the last thing we're gonna do
Motion.
today is we're going to sign the MyLars for the South Central Estates subdivision.
South Central 2
Going to adjourn.
application.
Pat just made a motion to adjourn,
God bless Pat.
second by John. All in favor? Unanimous of 4.